Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Lava Lava. I am your host, Johnny. Here to join me today is President Michael, and then Milford, JP, and then introducing to you a new member. Haven't seen him for a while, but I'd like to introduce to you Sosaya.
Hi, everybody.
So today we're going to be talking about relationships, and we're going to keep it broad for now. Nothing too specific, but all kinds of relationships in the Samoan community, i.e., familial relationships, spousal, and what. For to start off, I'm gonna kick out a question, and you guys are free to answer whenever you guys are ready. And our first question is going to be, what do you think constitutes a successful relationship?
When you guys are able to fart in front of each other, that's how you know you guys are super comfortable and you're at a spot where you guys are in love with each other. When I take a crap, I crap with the door open, and my wife hates it. I feel once you're at that point and you're super comfortable with each other, I feel like that's a really good relationship. Do you guys fart in front of your wives?
Well, obviously at this point, if we've been married over 5 years.
All the time.
All day, every day.
It would be that. So speaking from a spousal point of view, a successful relationship, according to JP, means you can fart in front of them. What about anybody else have anything else other than just absolute disregard for hygiene?
Yeah. So I think communication is a good point.
There we go.
We're not really. Yeah, I'm really bad at communicating. My wife's really good at it, and I think it's a female versus male type thing, because I don't think all males are really good at communicating. Wives get frustrated because we tend to not open up about our emotions and stuff like that. Unlike them, they like to express their feelings and talk about like what they're going through, and that's something we need to work on. I'm really bad at opening up to my wife and stuff like that. It's something I'm working on, because like the more you hold things in and not communicate with your wife and stuff like it, I feel that's when the relationship it'll end up not working out in the long run. You need it to be where you guys are, well, let's just put it this way. You just need to know that it's not you against the world anymore. It's you and your wife. Like the other way around too. It's your wife and you against the world. So I just feel like if you get to that point where you guys are talking about everything, discussing everything, working through everything, I think you guys are in it for the long run. But when you hold back and don't open up, it gets hard.
Yeah, that one's huge. Big C, communication. But I believe we can all agree that it runs both ways. But what about like from a familial standpoint? Like what makes you a successful, like, for example, a brother, since we're all men here, what makes you a good brother or a good son or a good uncle?
I'm the only child in my family, so I don't have brothers or sister or any, but I have, people I grew up with, since my childhood. I think just being there whenever they need you or they need you to vent or anything like that, just that person to be there when they need you the most. I think that's some traits of being a healthy relationship, as far as being your brother or sister or uncle or whatever, or whoever needs you at your lowest or whatever.
I like that. So the moral support aspect. Now,
right.
Let's flip it back to the other side, then I'll kick it over to the president. What do you think would make a bad relationship then?
I think what would make a bad relationship is when you start comparing your relationship to the relationships of others, especially what you see on social media, what you see with your friends. Yeah, basically what you see with other people. Stop comparing the relationships that you have now with other people. And there's two ideas that I don't like very much, and that's the notion of true love and happily ever after. Get that out of your head, because there is no true love. There is no happily ever after. It's mostly you and your significant other. You're going through life, you're dealing with each other, and you have to support each other. most of the time relationships are broken mainly because communication is not there. And another thing is you have to have love and commitment. Without those two genuine aspects, a relationship cannot last. If you want to get in a relationship, you should get into it with the idea that you are investing in it for the long term.
See, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, no, wait, going back to the original question though, what constitutes successful? So when I hear the word successful, it's an indicator for me, at least thinking about the word, a state of being or like an end goal. And for me, it's, you're not really there in a relationship as long as the person's alive, or in this case with a relationship, as long as two separate parties are alive. It's a constant work. Now you can be succeeding to a point, but to say like I'm in a successful relationship, maybe to an extent, but the fact that we're continuously trying to work together and continue to demonstrate love instead of just saying it. In that aspect, we can say that we're succeeding, so far. We're trying to reach that goal.
Yeah, and I don't think there is anything like a successful relationship because everyone has their own different standards of what a successful relationship is. It's your own image of what you think a successful relationship is. Because in a relationship, we're all trying to, like what T said, to be better, do better, right?
No, yeah, that's how T put it was pretty spot on. Everybody has, like you just said, everybody has their own definition of what a successful relationship or successful marriage is. I feel like I have a lot to work on, emotionally, spiritually. I feel like we're at a good spot. How T was saying, succeeding. We're constantly working towards being a really good family. My version of a successful relationship is just being a good dad. I got 2 kids, so that's where I want to be, like just a good husband and a good dad. Got a roof over our heads. I got a job. I'm able to pay bills and put food on the table. Coming from Samoa, I never thought I see myself where I'm at right now. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And we need that constant reminder. We just grind all day, but it also feels nice to get acknowledgement from like the people you're grinding for, the wife, the kids, so like, oh, thank you, or how was your day and stuff like that. So just to add on to that, it's everybody's version of a successful relationship / marriage. It varies. Mine is I just want to be a good dad, make a lot of money, and so I could buy a lot of food, because I'm a foodie.
To hop on with JP, I think like successful relationship, it's not only that you both made the most money, both are the happiest ever after, and things like that. I think, in my view, successful relationship also when somebody makes a mistake, you guys fight and go through shit, and you guys talk about it, overcome that obstacle, and then, make it work again. But I think that's another trait of being a successful relationship.
Yeah, see, I like that because a lot of times we view success or as far as relationships are concerned as from what we see in the movies. We look and we see that the happily ever after, and we're trained as children. As we watch, we grow up, we watch these Disney movies, and then we see that how the prince treats the princess or vice versa. And so we have an expectation. And then we get a little older, we start watching these movies, and these movies portray a love interest, and then all of a sudden it's either knight in shining armor or very successful this, successful, and they make money here, make money there. But I think we always you grow up and then reality slaps you in the face, and they don't show you in the movies where you guys are fighting over the water getting turned off, or you guys are fighting over who has to wake up because you guys are new parents and you guys haven't had enough sleep, or you didn't make enough money, or this and that. And they don't usually show all the hardships in between the lines. And so you grow up with this picture, and then you find out reality is a little bit more harsh. And so it's always, what do you think is the biggest thing concerning the Polynesian community with Samoans as far as a successful marriage? I know not even marriage, but a successful relationship, because we all know that it's, in this day and age, it's not always going to be the marriage. I've known several couples that have been together, are in the midst of raising families that are been together for going on 10 years now, and they've never married once. They've just did this whole, they started off boyfriend, girlfriend, and just stayed that way. There's same-sex couples. There's what do they call it? Polyamorous, where there's multiple of one group. And so, with all of these different relationships going on, what do you think in the Polynesian community, why are we having more successful relationships? Are we having less? And what are the reasons for that?
I guess a lot of issues stems from all the wives, and I want you to clip this so all the wives can see it, President. Just because after a long,
he's on his own.
And I just want to say this: after a long week of hard work, you come home and you just want to relax, and then you both got that spot. You guys got get the food from, it could be like a taco spot, burger spot, and you're like, oh, you hungry? And they say no. You're like, oh, okay. So you order food, you bring your food, and what do? They eat your food, huh? I'm getting loud so I can hopefully my wife can hear me say that, because I ain't scared of my wife. But yeah, they eat your food, and that's why we have all these issues, because they can't make up their mind. Like, if you're hungry, tell me you're hungry so I can get 2 order of French fries, and not order French fries for myself and then you end up eating it.
What about the notion that, always, yeah, your food tastes good, but for some reason somebody else's food tastes better?
I don't know, man, because I stay eating my own food. If I see something I want, I order my own and then I eat it, But hey, it is what it is. But I think a lot of Samoan men, because these Samoan women, they're strong women, and a lot of these Samoan men, I feel like they're trapped because they can't leave them. Because these women are strong poly women, you know what I'm saying?
Not only that, but they have their family. Their family is right there too.
It's like, you want to leave me? I'm gonna go tell my dad and my brothers, and then my cousins will meet you at the bus stop, So what does Johnny do? I'm just gonna go back and do the saka, and then I'll wash the dishes.
Speak for yourself. I control my own. Okay,
but yeah, it's the dynamics of relationships, right? A lot of time it's about power struggle between the man and the woman, and usually the woman comes out the victor in relationships. I think one of the factors is men trying to avoid domestic violence, right? Trying to not lay their hands on their wives, right? Because these Samoan women, they do get physical, right? They do get physical, and we men, we try to humble ourselves so that.
Are you trying to tell us something? Are you safe?
Blink twice if you're in danger.
Is that why you shadow box all the time?
Do you need to contact the authorities?
I'm speaking
from experience?
allegedly, hypothetically, right? But yeah, domestic violence does exist in families, and it's real. And we're not going to ignore it because it happens in Samoan families. I've seen it when I was in the islands. A lot of fighting between Samoan couples, and it's a real problem out there. And for Samoan couple to be successful, there has to be mutual respect. It goes both ways. And as Samoans, we have a very difficult time communicating. And once we reach that point where we're able to talk things out, then I think that's a very successful relationships, when things are hashed out through verbally, right, instead of physically.
Okay, now we're all fathers here, so let's flip it on its head, and let's talk about how do we have a successful relationship with our children by virtue of how we're raising them, how we speak to them. I know our children ranges in ages from newborn to teenagers. So what are some of our good traits that can signify that you're having a healthy or a positive or a successful relationship with your children?
The fact that my kids can talk shit to me after a long, hard week of work, I come home and they just talk crap to me. They're not scared of me, And that goes back to the episode where we're talking, you raise them with love and not fear. So I have this relationship where we talk shit to each other. I come home and I walk through the door, Daddy's home. And then my daughter goes, hi. My sons go, hi. And then I walk to the front room and I'm like, who wants to wrestle? And then just all around fun, family, like energy. So that's how I know I've done a really good job. Like I said, I'm not the perfect dad, but my goal is to be a good dad. I grew up with just my mom. So 4 boys, my mom raised all of us. I didn't have a dad. Do I want to know who he is? Will I ever want to meet him? Nah, he could kick rocks, he's nuts, but I'm not going to be like him when it comes to my kids. Like I'm going to raise my kids the right way, and I'm going to be here for my kids. And if at any point in their lives they do something wrong, if my daughter decides to start killing people and stuff like that, hey, I'm going to support them 100%, because that's what dads do.
Let's not do that.
I'm not gonna lie with that one. We've all secretly had that conversation with your significant other. As a parent, I'm like, if my kid ends up being a serial killer, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. Are you gonna snitch on them? Are you gonna snitch on your kids, or are you gonna help hide the bodies? I'm gonna help hide the bodies. You know what I'm saying?
For future employment purposes, I will snitch. I will snitch.
For me, my goal is to get my kids out of the house, for them to be more successful than me. That's when I know that I've done a good job, is when my kids do better and they know more than I do at this point.
I like that, because I was kind of in the same boat with that one. I got 4 daughters, and it was always I got 4 chances at a really nice retirement pot. If one of them hits big, I'll just say, just go ahead and build me a nice little house in the back of your mansion, and I'll just live there. But I like all that opinion of matching the energy. You got to maintain the consistency. Try not to let your kids be a part of your burdens, because they're still innocent. They're still growing up. They still need to. And then as they become more with the world and understand how the world works, I believe as a parent, it's our job to maintain that structure, maintain that balance for them for as long as you can, with the same amount of energy. Now, I was a little bit more traditional, so there was a lot more discipline in my house, especially with my kids. But I think as they've gotten older, we've kind of laxed or loosened the reins a bit, and we try to speak more. I grew up in structure, so I try to maintain that same structure with my own kids. And so I believe that a key to a successful relationship is to find the balance that works with your family cohesiveness and then maintaining it. Keep whatever you're doing that the kids, well, you know, because your kids might be different. You know, our family dynamics are completely different from each other. So it's, you find what works and what the kids pick up positively, and then you maintain it. Now, well, what do you think that from our culture, from us being Samoans, are some things that we've learned or we've grown up with or we've used that has been detriment or we believe is detriment to the growth of our own children?
This goes back to our first episode. Stop beating the crap out of your kids. You know, stop raising your kids with like the fuspao, 2x4s, water hose. That's not the right way to raise your kids. And we got to steer away from that. That's why that was like one of the first episodes we opened up with, you know, was to talk about like those issues in Samoa. And, you know, looking back at it now and we sit here and we talk about it, we laugh about it, you know, getting chased around the village, getting rocks thrown at you, back of the machete, water hose. You know, it's funny looking back now, but I would never do that to my kids. Now, if I were to do that, I'll go to jail, and you should. You know, like you said, Johnny, these kids are innocent. They don't know any better. We're over here back in Samoa, they're trying to raise them like they're 12 years old. The kid's only 6, 7 years old, you know. They're still developing. You know, they're still learning how to communicate. They're learning how to share their emotions. How we train them down there, it's like we're training the Spartans. You know, really rough. It's just like, come on, man. We got to do better. You know, let's raise them like the Palangis raise their kids. But like, be stern, you know, not just let them run all over you and do what they want. You want to be there to guide them. You know, show them what's right or wrong. Explain things. That's like the biggest thing. Is explain to them.
Yes.
Don't just tell them, hey, this is what I want you to do, or don't do this, don't do that.
Be the guiding hand.
Yeah, you want to explain to them. It's like, this is why I sausaged you. This is why I told you not to do that, or this is why I wanted you to do this. You know, that way they have a better understanding of like, oh, okay, next time when they come across the same issue, you know, it'd be like, oh, I remember my dad told me not to do this because blah, blah, this, you know, there's consequences. Or maybe if I'm ever in this situation, like I could always reach out to him. And that's something, I plan to have that talk when my kids get a little older. Is I want them to feel comfortable with me. At any point, they could come to me. Like if you're gonna go out, sneak out, get super drunk, do drugs, hey, just come to me. You know, be open about it, be honest, and I'm here for them. But my goal is to try and guide them. And it's all up to them.
Wait till your kids, yep. Wait till your kids turn 8, then they'll start with a back talk.
That's man, my kids or my daughter talks a lot of crap. But you know what? I talk a lot of crap too. So we talk crap to each other. You know, you never back down, bro. You got to show them who runs the household. And it's not you, it's them.
Yeah, I have a hard time trying to figure out what is a normal relationship, because growing up the traditional Samoan way, where like Johnny mentioned, when I tell you to do something, you do it immediately. I have a hard time letting that go. That is something that I'm lacking as a parent, trying to humble myself as a parent to try my best not to do that to my kids, because it is harsh and it does affect how the kids, their reactions and how they view things, because all they see is this giant dude yelling at them, basically trying to be a drill instructor and telling them, hey, do this, do that. And they don't have time to stop and question why are they doing this. That's something that I'm lacking for sure.
Yeah, I think as parents, usually, and for us, it's always been a learning experience. You get your first kid comes out, especially if you have more than one. The first kid comes out, and then you use them as your experiment child. What works, what doesn't work. You find out if there's any illnesses or any allergies, or how do they respond to this kind of stimulus? How do they respond to negative, positive reinforcement, stuff like that? I think as we go along, we tend to discover things and what works and what doesn't. And then the next kid comes along, and then you try it with them, and then it turns out that they like it, or they reciprocate the same thing. And then you kind of you become more complacent, or maybe you relax a little bit more. You stop freaking out over little stuff. They got a cut on their knee. I was like, oh, okay, it's not a big deal. You're not going to die. When you're your first time parent, you're like freaking out over, oh, you stubbed his knee. No, I need to comfort them and make sure that they're okay, because deep down inside you're hurting too. And, but I think, as we get older, we learn, and then we overcome new obstacles as our children get older as well. For me, it's my girls are all pretty close in age, and I think it started off as an accident, and it worked its way towards now. I just want them all out of the house within the span of 5 years. As soon as one starts graduating, then the next one follows. And then by then soon, I'm already looking at retirement, get these kids out of the house. I think for a successful relationship as a whole, we've basically covered all of the big stuff: communication, positive reinforcement, acknowledgement. Those are big key things. I think some of the little stuff, the little stuff that matters the most are like picking up on the nuances of your kids, of your wife or your spouse, significant other, picking up on what they like or dislike, thoughtfulness. I know for me, when my kids were really little, they were a handful. I had them so close together. I had there was a time where I had a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old and a newborn all at once in the house, and it was stressful. But they used to, like, my oldest daughter used to leave me these little notes, and to me, I'd come home from work and see these little notes like, "Hey, I love you, Dad. Hope you had a nice day at work." And it was like the best thing in the world. It was enough to just, all right, get me through to the next day. The 16-hour shift doesn't matter anymore. The heat in 29 Palms doesn't matter anymore. It's, the kids still remember me. And it's like the little things. My wife used to just, if I noticed that she was having a hard day, I'd go and get her favorite candy that she likes and just drop it off randomly. It's the little stuff that I was always, sometimes communication is key, but when you pick up on what they really want or what they like specifically, and just recognizing or acknowledging that that you noticed, would go a lot further than just communicating, because sometimes they don't want to talk. I know a lot of times my oldest daughter, she's a teenager now. There's a lot of times where she just kind of brushes things off, but I can tell that there's something bothering her and she wants to talk about something, but it's recognizing those things. Does anybody have any other experiences? I know we're running short on time, so we're going to move this in.
Just to touch up quick on what you're talking about. I think another thing is like what you do with your kids. It plays a huge role too. What you do, meaning it's not just them stuck in the house in front of the social media stuff or whatever, phones, tablets. But it's what you do with them, something that they'll remember. Like when they grow up, they're going to think back, hey, remember when, we went to this park or whatever? Remember when we went to have fun at Disneyland or wherever? But I think that's another thing, is what you do with the kids.
Yes, that's huge. Creating memories, traditions, being consistent in that aspect too. I know my kids love it. For the longest time, since they were little, we used to do this. Our tradition at the house was lift hugs. Every time I came home from work, I would just pick up the kids and throw them in the air one time, hug them, tell them I love them, and then kiss them on the forehead. And I did it for so long that it's funny that even now, like, my kids are older. Heck, even my 13-year-old, she still lines up for a lift hug. And you know, my back is going to go out soon, but they remember stuff like that and they still want it. Even though
so you gotta start hitting the gym now, get stronger, because they're gonna get bigger, you know?
You gotta do your back workouts.
I'm gonna phase that one out because I don't think my back can keep up. But it's like, yeah, little things like that. So as we rolling out of time here, we're gonna go ahead and end this episode right here. We're gonna pick it back up again. Please like, follow, subscribe, and catch us again on our next episode. Thank you.